Good afternoon. And I'm Dr. Ruby Yang, the program coordinator of the BA&BEd English Language Education Program. And I'm here to say thank you, and I'm so happy to see many of you joining us today, and lots of gentlemen, surprisingly. So I hope you have a very good day. So before I start, I just want to let you know the rundown for this 40-minute talk. So in this session, I will have a brief mini seminar to share with you something related to AI, related to how the AI can influence our English language teaching. And at the same time, I have also invited a student, a Year 5 student, to come here. And Ms. Wong will have a very short sharing about her study life later on. And also the first part of my session will be giving you some more ideas about the admission requirement and how you can prepare for the upcoming admission interviews. And of course, we will leave some time for your Q&A session. If you still have any questions, please feel free to ask us. So as you may know that an AI is something new and is unavoidable for us as teachers and also students to have to equip ourselves to have the skills. So that's why I would like to share with you something about the impact of AI on our language teaching today. Before my talk, I would like you to show your hands to let me know your experience. Do you use AI in your learning? You can raise your hand. Just a few hands, surprisingly, okay. How about your school teachers? Do your school teachers allow you to use AI in your lessons? Oh, just a few, just a minority. Maybe AI is still something new, and teachers are still so worried about the issue of plagiarism, and that's why it's still not very common. But then at the same time, we as future teachers, I think it's very important for us to know how AI will influence our teaching and also learning. And that is the reason why I come up with this topic for today's short seminar. So first of all, we can see that it can give us a new trend for having AI, not just in our daily life, but also in our English language teaching. So it gives us a lot of opportunities. First of all, in the past, when you were not so sure whether your language you have written or you have produced was accurate or not, probably you need to rely on your teachers. But now, because of the advancement of AI, you can check it by typing your queries by using ChatGPT very easily. So it gives us a lot of opportunity to try to analyze your language by using AI. So, and at the same time, of course, it saves a lot of time. You don't have to check it from different reference books. You don't have to find the teachers, but then you can consult the AI anytime you like. It saves a lot of time, not just for you as learners, but also for us as teachers. So we can use AI to facilitate our lesson preparation. So it's very time-saving. At the same time, it's very quick for you to find out the answers. It's very efficient. At the same time, we can also make our lessons become more engaging. So I know that in recent years, a lot of teachers have used a lot of IT tools in their language teaching, but then at the same time, you can find that AI can also help us a lot in our lesson preparation. And also the teaching and learning materials can also be prepared by using AI. So let me share with you an example I have used in my Year 5 student course, okay? I remember last time I shared this story with my student about my Easter experience. I went traveling to Singapore with my friend, but I couldn't find my friend. I was so surprised. I planned to give my friend a surprise, but then when I went to Singapore, I didn't notice that my friend was not in Singapore. So at the end, I went traveling on my own. I felt a little bit upset. But then at the same time, I would like to share with my Year 5 student how I could use the real and authentic text into teaching tenses. So instead of writing everything on my own, this time because of ChatGPT, it saved me a lot of time. I have got my idea, and then I told the ChatGPT, and then in the end, the whole piece of text could be generated automatically by using AI. It really saved me a lot of time, yeah? Okay, and at the same time, I was also very surprised and happy to find that my student, when she was doing her practicum, she could also use AI in her teaching practicum. So this time, Ms. Wong, my student, who is going to do the sharing later on, and last time I observed her in her teaching practice. And when she taught a vocabulary lesson, I was so happy to see that she has tried to use AI to create an authentic video. Yeah, so and it's about introducing vocabulary items about traveling, but instead of showing flashcards in a traditional way, she has decided to use the AI tool to create a video so as to show the vocabulary items in a meaningful way, but at the same time, the student would feel very surprised. Wow, it's so authentic. Yeah, so of course, sometimes you may find that the AI, the speech is not that authentic, but at least you can find that the students would be so motivated to see some authentic materials. So it's the power of AI. Okay, so we can go on to talk about what challenges we will come across because of the use of AI. So once we have known that AI has given a lot of new opportunities for us, but at the same time, there will be some challenges that we have to bear in mind. First of all, I know that a lot of school teachers are still not willing to let students use AI because the major concern will be about plagiarism. Do you know what plagiarism means? It means that we may copy the ideas from the AI without acknowledging the sources. So that will also be the case if your students are school students who may not be mature enough, or maybe some students who are lazy, they just simply copy the ideas from AI without acknowledging the source. So the teachers will never know whether it is the real work done by the students or it's just simply generated by AI. So that will be the problem. The other issue will be related to skill development. I would say this point is also relevant to the first point, because the students may just simply rely on AI. So it looks very perfect, but it's actually not the actual work done by the student. So it will hinder the students' language development because they just rely on the AI without trying to improve their own language skills. So that can also be the big problem. Teachers are so worried. Okay, so what should we do as the future university students, and also a few years later when you have finished our BA&BEd program? you will become teachers. So how should we equip ourselves? Last week, when I prepared for this PowerPoint slide, I discovered this piece of newspaper article from Singtao Daily. It's in Chinese, but I would say it's a survey conducted to university students to find out the employers' perceptions about university graduates' AI skills. So the major findings we could find from this piece of newspaper article will be about a lot of employers. They think that a lot of university students, they are not well prepared to have the adequate AI skills. So what will be the implications based on this survey? Definitely, we as future university students and also future teachers, we ourselves have to equip ourselves with adequate AI skills. I think IT skills, most of you have already got a lot of IT knowledge, but other than that, you also need to have AI skills. So here, I have got a lot of AI examples, but I have chosen some of them which are particularly useful for us as language teachers. The first one definitely is so common to you guys, right? ChatGPT. I'm pretty sure you may use it from time to time, yes, because it's so convenient. As I know that now you will have the free version of the ChatGPT, right? How many of you are using ChatGPT? None of you, surprisingly. I use it very often, to be honest, for the ChatGPT. And apart from ChatGPT, maybe you have, you may not have heard, you may not have thought that Grammarly is actually a kind of AI tool because Grammarly helps you a lot in proofreading your work to ensure your writing is grammatically correct. Okay, and then apart from that, we have Gamma. Have you heard of this one? No. So it's actually like the PPT, but of course it's more powerful than PPT because it's AI generated presentation tool. If you are lazy, of course, I'm not teaching you how to be a lazy student. If you want to prepare for a PowerPoint slide, you can use Gamma, and then it comes up with the questions, and then you have to tell the online platform what you want to plan for the presentation, and then it will generate a PowerPoint slide with you automatically. So this one is for preparing presentation. And then we have BA&BEd, okay? And my student has used this one, okay, BA&BEd. So it's an online the AI platform for creating a video. Yeah, so you can see that you can choose the characters, female or male characters, together with including the voice. So you can also adjust the voice speed to make it authentic, to make it like the human voice. And at the same time, if you want to use the AI tool for creating pictures, images, then you can use this one, PixArt. You can just simply create an account, and then you can tell the platform what you expect to create, and then you will have the picture generated by this AI tool. And also the last one will be particularly useful for teachers, and this one is called JUPAS. JUPAS is used for creating some online, not really online, but some multiple choice or open-ended question items. If you have got pieces of text, and then you can copy and then paste it to this AI, and then it will generate you with some items. So it's suitable for teachers. Okay, so here we have got some ideas about what AI tools we can use for our teaching. But then the other thing we have to consider will be how we should adapt our language teaching strategies. We know that possessing the AI tool skills is the first step. But then how about our teaching strategies? We also have to do some adaptation accordingly. The first thing, we know that it's very important to develop our students with critical thinking skills. But at the same time, I think critical literacy is a concept which is particularly important for language students. So that's why we have to consider how to incorporate the concepts of critical literacy in our English language curriculum. And of course, our teaching strategy has to be adapted as well to try to incorporate more AI-based pedagogy. And also, of course, our assessment strategies have to be adopted and they have to be adapted at the same time. So I want to further elaborate on these three issues because they are so important for us as language teachers. As I have just mentioned, critical thinking and also critical literacy, they are highly related to each other. So I think you know what critical thinking means, right? So for critical thinking, it means that when somebody tells you something, you won't just simply accept everything you have heard, but you will try to use your own thinking and judgment to determine whether it is correct or not. Similar to the idea of critical thinking will be critical literacy. So critical literacy is more about our information received. In particular, for some language pieces of text we have received from AI, we also have to use our judgment to determine, to evaluate whether the information generated from AI is credible or is accurate. In other words, that means we have to do fact-checking, okay? The other thing is, maybe in our teaching and learning, we have to ensure that our students' creativity has to be encouraged. Okay, so that's why maybe we have to think about changing our tasks or our teaching activities have to be more challenging so that the students will have the chance to develop their creativity. The other issue is about the teaching methods. We have to do the adaptation. As I have just mentioned, and also the two examples I have illustrated to you, we have to enhance our teaching by incorporating more AI elements. So we can try to use AI to assist our teaching and learning, but not over-relying, but use it as the support to make our teaching and learning become more innovative. Or at the same time, we can also use AI. We don't want to avoid students to use AI, but at the same time, I think we have to use an attitude that we try to teach students how to use AI to facilitate their learning, but not stopping them, bending them. So you can't stop them because if you don't allow them to use AI, they can still use it outside class time. So you have to teach them the right strategies of using AI. So because of teaching the students the correct way for using AI, our own mindset has to be changed as well. Teachers will no longer be the only person who knows everything. It's outdated. It's the traditional mindset. Nowadays, because the students can get information from many different sources, including AI, including the internet. So that's why our teacher's role will be changed accordingly to become a knowledge facilitator rather than simply a knowledge transmitter. Last but not least, we also have to consider making more variety of the assessment methods. First, I find that in the traditional education, we rely too much on the written work or a lot of memorizing, a lot of grammar exercises without any opportunity for students to develop their creativity. So I would say we as teachers, we have to try to make the students' work to become more meaningful. In other words, we have to encourage authentic student work that can make the students become more involved, more engaged in their own work. At the same time, because we have taught our students how to use AI, that's why we also expect that the students can try to use AI as the tool for self-assess their own work. That's why self-assessment should be highly encouraged. Last but not least, I would say continuous assessment and also using a great variety of assessment methods should be the strategies. Rather than just simply relying on take-home assignment, I think having some in-class work, even if you ask students to do written projects, you can also incorporate the presentation to require students to justify how they come up with the work. That can also be the way for avoiding students over relying on the AI tool. So to conclude my short seminar, I would like to conclude by sharing with you the 3 major roles we as future English teachers should have. So I would say we have to prepare our students for the future by using 3 directions. The first direction, I would say, is very important as language teachers. We expect to enhance our students with the communication skills, but then at the same time, they also have to be adaptable. I think adaptability is important, not just for students, but we as teachers, we also have to be adaptable. Many years ago, when there was no IT, no AI, we learned with the traditional method. But now, because of the AI, I, as an experienced teacher, I also have to keep learning different AI elements to facilitate our teaching. So that's why flexibility, adaptability is necessary. Last but not least, as we have mentioned, developing our learners' critical literacy is essential. So I think I better pass the time to my student, Ms. Chi, to have some sharing about her learning experience. Okay, maybe we can give her a big hint.
Hello everyone, I'm Chi, and I'd just like to thank Dr. Ruby Yang for inviting me to do this sharing, and I'm so happy to meet all of you today. And so from the title, you can see from lol to lol. I'm sure most of you still use LOL when you guys text. I hope you do at least. And today I'll be telling you about my experience from LOL to LOL. So about a bit about me. So I'm a fifth year student, and next week will be my last week at HKU. And I started, I came into this BA&BEd program thinking, oh, laugh out loud, I'm going to be teaching students who are only a few years younger than me. What am I going to be gonna be doing? Like, I don't know, I was panicking. So this was my initial thought. And now I'm at the last 2 weeks of my year 5 BA&BEd program. And to me, it is learning, ownership, and leadership. And I would like to share some of my experience throughout the 5 years. So the first thing I would like to talk to you about is the immersion that I had. And this program was taught by some very experienced Australian lecturers. And they taught us how to use some innovative pedagogical approaches to teach students. For example, they taught us how to use Padlet. You can see this picture. So Padlet really helps students create a portfolio to monitor their own learning process. And this really fosters a sense of ownership for them. And then we also learned to use music to enhance grammar teaching and learning. For example, the teachers taught us to play in music. For example, it might consist of modal verbs or another grammar feature, and that would help students notice the grammar feature when listening to the music. And we also learned the importance of pronunciation and intonation. I'm sure you guys might have a lot of experience in that. Like for SBA, you don't enunciate each word one by one. So we really stress on the importance of speaking naturally. We don't go like, I had never read a book. We give it intonation. I never read a book with more than 300 pages. So these are some of the bits and pieces we learned in our immersion. And while we had our immersion, because of the COVID situation, you guys are super, super, super lucky because you get to physically immerse in Australia. And there you will learn to bring your teaching to life, make your lessons enjoyable, and learn about the local culture there. So I'm sure you guys will learn a lot and have so much fun. Now, I'm going to apply to my year 4 practicum. So this means that I had 10 weeks of teaching practicum at a primary school, and I worked as a full-time teacher. And for me, I taught some very, very, very adorable P1 and P3 kids. And don't worry, because there's such a strong support system in which the professors, the lecturers, and the school mentors will come and support you. So you don't have to be afraid of walking into a classroom and starting your teaching. And you will be receiving a lot of valuable feedback from them. So a glimpse of what I did. So on the left-hand side, you can see that in this lesson, I intended to teach stationary items and also the use of have and has. You can see that on the left-hand side, it's just drilling and it may be quite boring. But then you can see on the right-hand side, what this program really helps us with is to contextualize things, make things interesting. And we're not focusing and fixated on the grammar drilling, but we contextualize the whole scene. You can see here, I made a story about Ben and Kelly. So they lost all their stationery. And so the students, the P1 students' aim was to find the stationery in the classroom, and they had to use the stationary items and also have and has. So you're actually already using the targeted grammar form and the vocabularies, but without doing some boring drilling, as you can see. So this really helps students with problem solving and enhance students' ownership. Okay, and then year 5 practicum. So talked about primary school, then we have secondary school. Similar as the year 4 practicum, you have 10 weeks of teaching. And this time it's at a secondary school, and you also work as a full-time teacher. And I taught some Form 1 students. And again, I got so much amazing support from HKU professors, Dr. Yang, and other school teachers as well. So don't be worried. So this time I really tried something called a task-based approach. So this means that students learn grammar by using it and producing it. So I created this context of students having a school's English week, and so they had to use the adverbs of manner in a poster. So you can see that we're not just making them drill and making them fill in the blanks, but they're really putting the grammar point into productive use. So this was the final product. As you can see, there are still some errors and inaccuracies, but the point is for students to really put everything into productive use. And besides practicing this task-based approach, you can also see that I did something interesting here. I really wanted to foster students' leadership roles. So I assigned different roles for students when they were in groups. Some students were project managers, timekeepers, task leaders, supporters, so on and so forth. So you can see that aside from these grammar, vocabulary teaching stuff, we also help students grow in different ways. So we talked about primary, secondary, and now at a university level. So I was very fortunate because I studied this course called Online Digital Storytelling, in which HKU students were connected with master's students in India. So we conducted workshops for these master's students on how to craft a digital story. And just as Dr. Ruby Yang mentioned, this is another form of AI, and this is called WeVideo. And so these students had very interesting and vulnerable experiences, I would say. So we really taught them how to express their thoughts in English and use this video editing system of software to narrate their personal story in English. And I was in charge of leading these digital story sessions. Now, beyond the BA&BEd program, HKU also provides us with many opportunities to go on exchanges and internships. So I was very, very fortunate to be given the opportunity to work as a student research assistant under the MyTax internship program. And I interned at this university called Wilfrid Laurier University. And I was given a stipend, and I stayed there for 10 weeks. And I worked on projects related to inclusive education. And I'll give you a glimpse on what I did in these 10 weeks. So in these 10 weeks, I was very fortunate as my professor allowed me to co-author a book chapter on inclusive education. And then we also did a podcast talking about us as research interns and our perspective on what inclusive education is and what inclusive education looks like in different countries. And then I also conducted some interviews with students with disabilities. And finally, I also supported my professor with the UNESCO Global Education Monitoring Report about leadership and inclusive education. So these opportunities are just so fruitful, and if you do come to the BA&BEd program, you should grasp onto these opportunities. And these are just some glimpses and pictures of my experiences. You can see there, we did a lot of networking, a lot of meetings, and then some STEM-related inclusive education projects in Canada. So my final words are that don't be worried. At first glance, it might be laugh out loud. I'm teaching students who are only a few years younger than me, but then you'll then realize it's about learning, ownership, and leadership. Thank you. I hope to see you guys at HKU very soon. Okay, thank you.
was sharing. So let's just come back to something related to our coming admission interviews to draw your attention. And in particular, you would be very interested to know our program entry requirement. You can basically be able to find that detail in our university's website, but it's not that easy for you to find it out because it has been included with the admission requirements with other programs. But I would just to draw your attention to the upper quartile and also the median and also the lower quartile HKDSE results from last year for your reference. And at the same time, if you have got some other learning experience or maybe extracurricular activities you have been participated in, they will all be very useful in your profile to be shared in your admission interview. Okay, and at the same time, please also draw your attention that you will be invited for the admission interview only if you have put our program to be BA&BEd. You have to make sure that you have chosen BA&BEd, otherwise you will not be invited for interviews, unfortunately. Okay, and also we have already confirmed the interview date, and it will be on 25th to 26th of July, and it will be conducted on Zoom, and at the same time, it will be a group interview. So that's why we want to make sure that the students have the good collaboration skills and also are able to interact with the other peers, because that will be a very important character for being a teacher. And the other thing I would like to share with you will be how you can better prepare for your admission interviews. Well, first of all, I want that the students try not to rehearse everything. I mean, don't just simply prepare the script by using ChatGPT, and then you just simply memorize everything, which is very unnatural. You can be determined based on how you convey your idea. So that's why be very natural, okay, spontaneous in your speech. And at the same time, because we have very tight schedule for our group interview, usually not more than 30 minutes for each group. So please don't rehearse a long speech, okay? So be natural and spontaneous to share your experience and also your qualification. And also, I think it's very important to persuade the interviewers that's why you want to be an English teacher. From my experience, usually the applicants, they shared a lot about how much interest they have in English language. But I want to know why you want to study our program, but not the BA program. So that's why I wanted you to share with me more about something relevant to English teaching, okay? The first thing, you may have to know something about our program. If I can see how much knowledge you know about our program, it can show how motivated, how interested you are to our program. Very often, a lot of interviewees just shared with me, oh, they want to participate in the exchange program, the immersion program, but that's not enough, okay? Because you come here because you want to know more about language teaching, but not just something for fun. So that's why I wanted you to share with me more how unique our program is when compared with similar programs offered by other universities. Last but not least, you may have to think of a question that you would like to ask the interviewer by the end of the interview, because that can be the way for impressing your interviewers how interested you are in our program. So you will be given bonus marks if you can think of a sensible question you want to ask your interviewer. Okay, so if you still have any other further questions, you can go to this website and check the program details